Yeah, it should be a rarity. Nowadays, it's too common. But back then, for all of recorded time until about the 1990s or late 80s, it was rare.
Wait, so why the
Because in,
fuck did this happen? Why are these
oh,
allergies a
I'm about
thing?
to give you the breakdown. So apparently, so when it comes to like autism, what ends up happening is there's an interesting correlation where in 1989, the spike in autism occurs. If you go pre-1989, one in every 100,000 people would have autism. So super rare. So if you had a city of 1 million people, you would have like less than 20 autistic people maybe,
Nowadays, it's
at
like one
best.
in every
It's 1 in
50.
10,000 right now. It's 1 in 10,000 men have autism in the United States,
One
and
out of
that's
one in 10,000.
1 in 10,000 have
Bro, I felt like it
like
was gonna be one
like
in
dis
fi-
well dysfunction, like autism where they can't function, not high
Oh,
functioning
but like yeah,
autism.
like any level, like small level of autism is like
No,
one in
so if
50.
oh no, yeah, small level it's I think it's 1 in 900.
No way.
Yeah,
No,
it's like
no,
1 in
no,
900, something like
no,
that.
no. There's no way. There's no way. It has to
Yeah.
be less. It has to be like maybe that's an average of the adults, like older adults too. But no, bro. Like when it comes to like at least kids our age, people our age, it has
Well,
to
no,
be
no,
like one in.
it's specifically talking about children. It's not counting adults. It's that if
But
you
it can't
it,
be
it,
one out of 900, because bro, like our school itself, like it's a perfect example. Like there's autistic people everywhere, like or not only our school, like anywhere in the
well
world. Like
again, that's not concentrated. That's born in with autism. Obviously, in a larger population area, you're going to see more autistic people because there's more people. But again, 1 in 900 people is like, okay, if Poinciana has 30,000 people, 1 in 900 is like an aggressive autism. Like,
but if
it,
that's the case, then why does a school like ours have like hundreds of autistic
because
people?
autism, well, that's the whole point. Autism rates occur more frequently in people that aren't white, and our
What? But
school
that
is
makes no
majority
sense.
Hispanic.
The most autistic white people, the most autistic people I've ever seen is
No,
white.
there's more. It's because there's more white people. That's why you see it more frequently. The reason is because autism, specifically post then, occurs more frequently in minorities because minorities eat the worst food. Because they're the ones that live in the lower income areas which are getting fed the more chemicalized food and that tend to get vaccinations more frequently for their children through the government subsidies, so then that causes them to have more frequency of autism.
That's
Whereas
insane.
white people tend to
So
live
like
either
processed
in more.
foods, like Lunchables, like
Yeah, so what happens is there's a big correlation between the changing of the food industry and the vaccine industry that caused both of these issues to happen. Because in 1986, when Reagan was incapacitated, when the election was about to happen with Bush Sr. in like a year, the Senate, against Reagan's wishes, because obviously he can't pass it because he's the president. The Senate brought it up, and the Senate and the House voted against or voted for it. He vetoed it, and then they re-voted, and they won and overruled him, so he couldn't do anything, and Guy didn't even know where he was. Is that they ruled in 1986 that you cannot sue a manufacturer of a vaccine for side effects of the vaccine.
dots. Are you serious?
Yeah, because if you willingly chose to take that vaccination, you signed your right away to basically say, we don't know what'll happen 20 years down the line because we haven't tested it for 20 years, so we know it'll cure whatever you're getting it for, but we cannot guarantee nothing will happen. So they passed a law where you can't sue vaccine manufacturers in 1986, and then all of a sudden in 1989, everyone starts getting autism. And the correlation is that right after that vaccination mandate was passed, the amount of vaccinations that children would get went from 3 to 5 to between 13 and 20.
Oh, what the fuck?
So then now, since then, on average, a kid from age, infancy basically, to about age 20 will get anywhere from 13 to 18 vaccinations or other inoculations in their life. Whereas anytime prior to 1986, it was about 3. It was polio, it was like, a general, like an antibody injection, and then like maybe 1 or 2, like a chicken pox shot or, something like that if you needed it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Whereas now they're getting like crazy shots for like everything conceivable. That like stuff they don't even tell you. There's like, it's time for your shot, buddy. What's it for? Oh, it's for a bunch of stuff.
So that's
You know,
where
it's
the
for this.
misconception where that vaccines give you autism comes. It's not that if you get the vaccine, it's gonna give you autism. It's that since you have autism, like your parents did the vaccine, it's gonna pass down those genes that are
Well,
gonna turn you into an
exactly. It's not.
autist.
It's not yeah, and that's his distinction that he makes very clear. He's like, I'm not saying vaccines give you autism, but it's the amount of vaccines that we are giving and the types we are giving that are not important that are causing autism to become more prevalent due to the way it's affecting genes because they're not studied for that long.
That's insane.
But it's also tied to the food. Because this blew my mind when I heard it, because I heard this from him, and then it recommended me, the YouTube algorithm actually did something right, and recommended me a video from some guests that were on Joe Rogan like 5 or 6 months ago that also talked about it with him. And essentially in the late 70s to the mid 80s, all the major food companies got bought out by the cigarette companies.
Food companies.
Because that was when the Attorney General report came out and said, guys, after like 50 years of research, we finally discovered cigarettes are bad for you. And obviously they knew cigarettes were bad for years, but the cigarette industries were lobbying the government for so long to pay them not to release that information. That,
Yeah.
you know, everyone would keep smoking.
What is that
When they
type
were-
of shit that it makes you lose weight? They would
Yeah,
used to
that
say.
too. Yeah, it was like cigarettes. Women smoke cigarettes. It keeps you thin and healthy while you're at the house.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You don't need to exercise. Just smoke a cigarette a day. A Newport regular, and you'll be fine. A Marlboro Red, you know.
That's
a Camel.
insane. Same shit as nowadays with the
happened
soy
was-
milk and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So when Reagan got into office and he hired a new attorney general, the attorney general didn't give a shit. And he said, I'm dropping the report telling everybody that cigarettes are bad. So that he did it. So then everyone all of a sudden in like 1982 really realized that, oh my god, my lung problems are due to smoking? Who could have ever guessed? So then everyone stopped smoking. So the cigarette industry took like a 40% hit.
And
then
they were
that's when
already prepared for that kind of.
Yeah, and that's when cigarette advertisements became illegal on TV, when Reagan had made it illegal for cigarettes to advertise on TV.
Damn. Okay. So yeah. So Reagan. What the fuck?
And that's when they stopped doing cigarette vending machines in the like 79, right before Reagan became president, like Jimmy Carter, and then Reagan actually.
So you told me Reagan wasn't the warmonger, because that's what I.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you he's a perfect innocent guy who wasn't complicit in some international possible government coup scenarios. I would
Of course,
never
yeah,
lie
but
and
that's
say
like
that,
any
but
fucking.
yeah, exactly. That's just what happens. Like, you know, but is he like the evil strong human of the earth? No, he's a pretty nice guy overall. He just again got in over his head and it was too nice for his own good and let people take advantage of his administration and do a lot of stupid things that because he got demented he couldn't do anything about.
That's actually pretty sad.
Are you here to learn from the sage as well?
And then he just died in obscurity and just fucking passed away like not knowing where he was.
Ugh. That's pretty fucking sad.
Which is fucked. Yeah, after getting shot. It's like it's one thing to get assassinated, but like imagine getting shot because a guy said I want to go on a date with Jodie Foster. It's like it's not even
Oh,
cool.
that sucks. Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, I'm gonna stop the fascist regime. I hate Reagan because I don't like Transformers, you know, something like that. It's like, no, I want this barely 18-year-old girl to like me.
Yeah.
He's like,
That's
"Bro,
not
just
even
taking a walk."
That's not even that was never
It
attractive.
was
Like
never attractive, exactly.
yeah,
It's
like
come
forget
on.
her in that age or anything like that. It's like yeah, like even when she turned 18 and whatnot, like you
Yeah,
know.
no, like she had maybe like 18 to 21 was like she was decent, like a cute 6, and like that's about it.
You think
Like
that Silence of the
1970
Lambs was made, you know, in honor of people like him? Like they had him in mind. Like oh, we know you had like this crazy stalker.
Who know? I want to know if he's seen the movie and what his opinion on it is. To be like in jail, like did he find out Jodie Foster's in a new movie?
Yeah.
Someone smuggle me in the VHS, please.
I know the sage
But
is a
yeah,
bit
so
of
then
a
when it comes to the food, the cigarette companies realized they were gonna go broke and lose all their money because people weren't gonna smoke anymore, or they were losing money. So what they did to launder the money and consolidate is they started buying food companies. So Nabisco got bought out by the company that owned Marlboro. And Kraft and a bunch of other companies got bought out by the company that made like Newport and like Camel and all those other cigarettes.
That's ridiculous.
So what they did is they said they took all their scientists that they would use for cigarette manufacturing and like nicotine, and they said find a way to make the food as addictive as cigarettes.
And that's where GMO came in.
Yeah, so then they discovered, hey, we can use all these chemicals, these specialized chemicals that we synthesized, and we can put it in the food, and it makes it taste better, it lasts longer, and it has an addictive. That's where they created high fructose corn syrup, was because the cigarette companies told them to invent something to make the food addictive, like cigarettes. Because regular fructose is a naturally occurring chemical in berries. It's the natural sugar that exists in nature. But they did a study and they realized, you know, when bears go into hibernation in the wintertime, they eat a lot so they can gain weight. So then, you know, they don't get anorexic when they're sleeping in the wintertime. One of the main things that bears eat is fructose, is berries. And they'll eat tons of berries because fructose has a natural chemical in it that attacks your brain and makes you more hungry. So the bears know that by eating berries, they get more hungry so they can eat more food to gain more weight. So they said, if we can synthesize that chemical fructose and make it more potent, we can trick people's minds into thinking they're still hungry and cause them to eat more food, which will cause them to buy more food.
Yeah.
So then they took regular a fructose atom and amplified it by 100 times and made high fructose. And then they put high fructose in everything. And then that's what, you know, it has, you know, if a bear gets addicted to just eating regular berries, 1,000 times, 100 times more potent is literally like insane. And that's what they started putting in all the food. But the thing is, at the time, the way the government was regulated is that they couldn't release food with it because it wasn't a proven chemical. So around the same time they passed that thing about not being able to sue vaccine manufacturers, they passed the legislation saying for the what's called the safe to use or like standardized chemical list. And basically it's just saying we used this chemical in this one food and it had no bad side effects.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you
So
off, but it's like, bro, like, this really is one of those cases where it's like, damn, like reality is stranger than fiction. Like
yeah,
legit, like
literally.
this is literally some 1980,
Yeah,
like this is straight up like sounds like conspiracy shit, but it's like, yeah, no, like it makes too much fucking sense. Like I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie, bro. Like one
Elon
day,
posted on Twitter and was like, "Make 1984 fiction again."
did you fucking like? Is it, like, did you just see a video I say that basically covered the same shit, or did you just knew this? Because like, damn, like
No,
I
no,
could.
no. I saw RFK Jr.'s video talking about it on a podcast, and then I got
Oh, this is a video that he already posted
yeah,
before
and
that.
then
Oh,
I got recommended a Joe Rogan video with him talking to two people, and they also mentioned it, and they were talking about RFK Jr. in it, and that was like the whole
RFK
thing.
is John F. Kennedy's son.
Nephew,
That's crazy.
nephew. His father is Bobby Kennedy,
Which is John's brother.
JFK's brother. Yeah, John's brother. Yes, because his
Okay.
father also got assassinated.
Oh, Bobby? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
bad ever happened to the Kennedys.
Yeah, by Sirhan. Well, and they call RFK a conspiracy theorist because he says Sirhan, the guy who's in jail for shooting my father, isn't the one who killed him
Oh, god
because he
damn it.
met with him in jail multiple
That's the
times.
problem. The
And
retards calling it because they're calling it. I mean, conspiracy theorists. Again, this Machiavellian words. It's like them saying like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory when it's like, like it's not really conspiracy if it's real. Like it.
exactly, it's the idea. It's the 1984, the changing of language. It's like they use the term conspiracy theory now as a term to demean when conspiracy does not mean lie. Conspiracy means a hidden truth.
Usually it means truth. Yeah.
Yeah, the implication that something is either directly being falsified or the way it's portrayed is falsified to hide something.
And nowadays they
But
make these shows like a Inside Job where it's like like literally there like half of the shit there is
they're like,
real.
it's so funny, ha 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 ha,
Yeah,
but then
and
yeah,
half of
it's
the shit
real,
there is
yeah.
actually real. Like, you know, like it just
That's why my dad liked that show because he started watching it and he was like, "This is great. They're actually talking about everything, but they're too stupid to realize that what they're making fun of is literally the real life of what they're doing.
no, they're not. That's the. I mean, of course, you know, like you'd think that they're just being stupid,
The
but
people
no.
that work there are stupid, but like, you know,
Yeah,
Netflix or whoever is not stupid.
yeah. It's like they
Well,
know that what they're doing.
that's a whole Netflix in itself is a whole conspiracy. Because
Why?
even if the guy doesn't know himself, which again comes back to the food thing, which is pretty funny. The founder of Netflix, his grandfather, I believe, was a doctor, and he's the one that started the adage, breakfast is the most important meal
Get
of
the
the day.
fuck out of here. Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here, bro. Bro, that so he started breakfast.
So,
No,
so what
bro. Like that's
happened
the thing.
was,
He started breakfast because the one that started that adage started breakfast. Because you know breakfast was
yes,
a is a thing
no,
that's
people didn't eat breakfast. Yeah,
yeah. Breakfast
you're
is a new
supposed to eat
thing.
breakfast. Yeah, it's bad for
Yeah,
you. Well, the
breakfast
reason
is a
why is
new thing in
because
the past
at
100 years.
the time, this is like the 1930s, the meat distribution plants started realizing that they had a lot of leftover pork and excess beef that people weren't eating because back then people used to go to the grocery store every day because you know they didn't have
Jesus Christ, dude, you're
refrigerators.
making me want to write this shit down. Actually, nah, bro. Hang on. No, that's whatever. Actually, I'm gonna record this right now.